Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be another Christmas decor related video. These are definitely some of my favorite videos to make. Today we're going to be going on Target and looking at some of the new pieces that were released this year for the holidays, specifically the Studio McGee line for Threshold and then Hearth and Hand by joannagaines. So after looking through both of those collections, I compiled a list of my top 10 items from Target this year. Some of the stock on these items is going to fluctuate a little bit. Everything is going to be linked in the description box down below, but because all of these items are so popular, you may just have to sort of keep your eye on them and see when they come in and out of stock. I love these items, so I'm really excited to share them with you. Speaking of exciting news, next week we're actually going to be kickstarting our Christmas decorating. This is our last week of just getting inspiration and gathering all of our items. Next week I'll be sharing with you how we decorate our Christmas tree, all the different elements that we like to do, the order that we do it in. It's gonna be such a fun video, so make sure you're subscribed and you stay tuned. I have my list of products right here. Let's go ahead and get started. First on our list is a beautiful realistic garland. If you guys saw my video from last week, I went to Michael's and Hobby Lobby. There were some really beautiful garlands at those stores as well, but of all of them, this one is probably my favorite in terms of how it looks. So this is a faux cedar garland. Cedar has been very popular this year. I personally love the look of it. I love a classic pine look. That's always just been something that I gravitate towards, but this is something that I really like to mix with it if given the opportunity. So I love this because it has a lot of different texture to it. It has that cedar real touch look. It has a lot of whimsy, a lot of movement. I also love the incorporation of the pine cones. You guys know I love to add very organic, natural touches to my decor whenever possible, and the holidays are no exception. This garland also comes in a couple different sizes. The 6 foot is $29.99 and the 12 foot is $49.99. So pretty reasonable prices for that. And garlands can be styled in so many different ways. In this photo here, they have it sort of draped over a console. Of course, you can also do this on a fireplace with candlesticks and reindeer. You can really make this really big statement. I've also seen people doing that sort of trick with a tension rod in like an archway or something like that in your home, and you can wrap the garland around there. It's just a really easy way to hang garland in any sort of doorway. You could drape it over a hutch. You could also layer a couple down the center of a dining table with some tapered candles for a really chic and simple holiday table setup. Such a versatile, quintessential piece of holiday decor, so it definitely had to be first on my list. Continuing with our list, joannagaines did come out with a few vintage inspired throw pillows. And this is something, of course, that you guys know that I love, and after going through all of them, this one is definitely my favorite. This is the 16 by 16 tree embroidered Christmas throw pillow, again by Hearth and Hand. I love the size of this. I love how you can easily layer it with other pillows if you have something that's patterned, like with plaid or something like that. It's a really nice layering piece. I love the simplicity, but also that vintage touch. I love the sort of embroidered detail all the way around. It has that really thin border, but it's really festive. The tree is beautiful. It's very realistic. It has that really nice sort of like droopy quality that pine trees can have. It looks very natural and whimsical. And I love how this throw pillow is very textured, but it's also just very simple. Like I said, you can layer it with other patterned pillows that you have. You can layer it with something that has red in it, something with red and green. You can really do anything. And even after the holidays, you can leave it out as sort of like a winter decor piece. So ways in which you can style this are pretty self-explanatory. This is a really beautiful picture that they have on the website. Again, layered with some plaids. They have a nice throw blanket in there. Just a very simple yet festive piece. If you like more of a minimal Christmas, I feel like this is definitely something that you would gravitate towards. You can style on any sort of bench. If you have like a mudroom or an entryway bench, you could always layer it with other pillows and throws. Of course, on your couch or a set of chairs, if you got a couple, you could put it in a window seat, or you could put it in a little basket with a blanket styled underneath a console, of course on any sort of bed in your home. So many different options, and this throw pillow is just $19.99. And if you like something with both the red and the green in it, she did come out I think with like a holly pillow as well as a Merry Christmas pillow. So there's a few different options to choose from, a little bit of something for everyone, but I couldn't make this video and not include some sort of throw pillow, and this is just, it's by far my favorite. Now, I think we can all agree that stockings are a quintessential part of Christmas and Christmas decorating for that matter. This one is no exception. I personally love stockings that have a lot of texture. They're that very natural sort of cable knit chunky stocking, and I love the idea of layering them. We have had the same stockings for as long as I can remember, but this is something that I would personally love to invest in when, you know, having my own family or moving out of the house someday. This is definitely what I would go for. So this is the confetti fleck waffle knit Christmas stocking, and this comes in a couple different colors. Specifically, I love the oatmeal one. It also comes in this beautiful sort of sage green color, which I love green as well. Just looking at this stocking, there's so much visual texture. There's a sort of gray and khaki fleck detail in there that adds a lot of dimension and really emphasizes the texture of the yarn. I think the tassels are a fun touch. They also add a lot of texture, but if you didn't like them, you could easily just snip those off and you have a perfect, very simple, minimal stocking. In this photo, they styled it with a bunch of different stockings. You can see the green version on the end. I believe these are all of her stockings that, I'm not sure if she came out with all of them this year, but they're all part of her line. I believe they're all still available on Target. So as you can see, you can really layer them and do lots of different things with them. Of course, you can put them over a fireplace, or if you don't have a fireplace, maybe you have like a stair banister or something like that. I've seen a lot of people do really fun layered garlands and then layer in their stockings. We personally don't have a fireplace either. We have like a stand that has a rod that we put all of our stockings on. It's just one of those classic, timeless, quintessential Christmas pieces that I personally really love the look of. Each one is only $14.99, which I feel like is a pretty good price as well. And I just feel like they'd add a really elegant, classy, and also a little bit of a vintage touch to your decor. Realistic trees are some of my favorite holiday pieces that pretty much all the stores come out with every single year. I personally, I don't believe I have any trees like this, but if I were to choose one, I would definitely choose this one. So this is the faux spruce tree in a fluted pot, also by Hearth and Hand. If you didn't like the pot on this, you could always stick it in a different pot or a basket. I believe Threshold has their own version with a wicker basket this year. And this comes in a few different sizes. 42 inches is $59.99, 30 inches is $39.99, 22 inches $19.99, and 16 inches $14.99. But specifically, I wanted to look at the 42-inch one. I feel like this is absolutely stunning. I love how whimsical the branches are. It feels like a very organic, realistic tree. I feel like even just 10-15 years ago, trees, like faux trees, used to be very plasticky. Every single tree had the same sort of texture and it looked very fake. They are really upping their game and coming out with very organic, natural looking trees, and I just think this is stunning. I personally really love the pot as well. I love the sort of scalloped, very sculptural feel of the pot, and it's just white and it's simple. It goes with anything, so I love the versatility of that. Something I also like about this piece is that there's like faux dirt in the actual pot, so it looks like you went out to the backyard and you chopped down a cute little tree and put it in a little pot. So in the last couple of years, people have really been liking to group these sort of trees together, and it's perfect because it comes in a lot of different sizes. So here they style it on a front porch. You can really stagger all the different heights. When you have the same item just in varying heights all grouped together, it looks very designer. It gives your eye something to look at, provides a lot of movement, a lot of variation. Of course, you could buy these just by themselves and use them to complement other parts of your decor, but if you're looking to also fill up a substantial area of your home, maybe you have some big built-ins or by your front door, you can always group them together and it's really going to make a big statement. You could also take one of these trees and put them on an old vintage stool, and you could put it pretty much anywhere in a bathroom, in a living room, in a dining room, anywhere where you have just a little corner that you want to fill up with a little bit of Christmas instead of maybe going with a full-blown Christmas tree. You could put ornaments or some sort of like tree decorations on this, but I personally just love how organic and natural this looks. So if you want to add some extra greenery to your home for the holidays without putting up another whole Christmas tree or maybe getting another wreath, I feel like a smaller tree like this could definitely make a really big impact. So far I've shown you guys a lot of very neutral, very greenery focused decor items, but I do love to add a touch of red to my decor. I love to have stems like this on hand, that way if I need to stick them in an arrangement or a wreath or just anywhere where I feel like there could just be a little pop of red, something like this is definitely ideal. So this is the faux winterberry Christmas stem. It comes in two different lengths. The 25-inch is $4.99 and the 36-inch is $9.99. With the bigger stem, it's obviously a little bit longer, but you do get more of those berries. So of course you could style these in their own vase. You could get a bunch of them together and make a beautiful red berry arrangement. Personally, I love this sort of dining table setup where they have it mixed in with a couple other pieces of greenery. It looks like maybe a pine stem or a cedar stem of some sort. For me, just adding in a little bit of greenery brings in a little bit of warmth, and of course it brings in that natural feel to your home in the same way that plants do. It sort of just adds a little bit of life, but the dimension of this is just so beautiful. The tone of these berries is absolutely perfect. I love how it's not a very saturated red, but it's also not a super desaturated burgundy. It's right in the middle. It has just a little bit of shine to it. There's no sparkle, there's not any sort of flocking or anything on it, which is what I personally love. It just looks very naturally beautiful. Other ways you could use this, you could sort of cut it into little pieces. You could add it into any sort of garland or wreath, as we mentioned. Sometimes people also like to incorporate this into their gift wrapping as sort of like a decoration to go on top of their gifts, sort of tucked into like a ribbon or something. If you wanted, you could even stick this into your tree to add a little bit of a different texture and also just a little pop of color. So this type of piece is perfect in my eyes because I love a little pop of red without it being too much. For me, Christmas is not Christmas without red. So I love this sort of elevated new way of incorporating it into my decor, and for this price and how much you get, I feel like it's definitely the way to go. Next up is a piece that I am personally very excited to incorporate into my own decor this year. You guys saw that I went to, I think it was Hobby Lobby for my fall decorating, and I got the viral bells that they sell there, which some of you guys may have thought I was crazy, but when I went back last week for my Christmas decor shopping, there were none left. So I am super happy that I picked those up. This is the same sort of idea. It's a little bit more of a modern take on it, and I just think that it's absolutely beautiful. And this is just a decorative set of brass bells. I think it's beautiful. Like I said, it's a little bit less of a rustic feel to it. It doesn't have a lot of patina or texture like the ones that I got from Hobby Lobby. These are also a little bit smaller. They're in that more sort of classic bell shape, but they do have a good amount of texture and that very traditional feel. I love how they're already put together for you and literally tied up with a bow. It's ready to go to hang anywhere. In the photo on their website, they have it incorporated into a mantle setup. I love this, and even if you didn't want the bow or you wanted to replace it with maybe something red, I'm sure you could take it off or you could replace it with another ribbon that you find. Something I think they could definitely add into this photo are a bunch of stockings. You could definitely layer it with that just to give it a little bit of texture. Specifically in this photo is a very creamy light fireplace. Adding that little bit of different material is really going to bring a lot of visual interest to your space. And something else that I also love about this piece is that it has the hanger on the top, so you don't need to worry about how you're going to attach it to something. You could literally hang it anywhere on a wall where you have a nail or a command strip. If you have like a blanket ladder or something like that, this would be really fun to sort of hang over some of those blankets, and again, just add a little bit of different texture, lots of dimension. And like I said, you could hang this anywhere on a wall where you have the space. If you just have a little area that you want to add a little bit of Christmas to, this is a very simple piece piece that will add that without being too much. And because of the neutral sort of velvet green ribbon, you could also leave this up a little bit past the holidays as well. So this bunch of bells is only $16.99. I feel like that's a really great value for all the bells that you get. You get the little hanging mechanism as well as the ribbon. So if you love brass bells as much as I do, this would be a really fun thing to check out. So now let's move on to the Threshold by Studio McGee line. I did find a few pieces I loved from her collection. In general, hers tends to be a little bit more on the modern side. I kind of like a little bit of a mix, which I think is why I tend to like Hearth and Hand a little bit more, but nonetheless, she comes out with some beautiful pieces. And if you love a very organic, very modern style, I feel like this would be a really good collection to look into. So the first item are her rattan basket weave Christmas trees. These have been so popular. I've seen so many people pick these up this year. They are stunning. I am very picky about my tree decor. I like them to be very classic but very elevated. I like them to look more expensive than they are, and I feel like this is a good example of that. I love to incorporate rattan and wicker into my decor pretty much all year round. I feel like in the past it's sort of been looked at as a material for like spring and summer and just like very warm seasons, if that makes sense. But I love to have that warm and cozy feeling in my home all year round. So I believe this comes in a few different sizes because of this photo. For some reason on the website right now it's only showing me the medium one. Maybe the other ones are all sold out. But kind of like how we were talking about earlier, if you have a decent sized space to fill, sometimes getting sets of 3 or sets of 2 is a really good way to fill in that space. I love how they have it styled here on a mantle. It just adds a lot of warmth, especially in this photo. Again, it's very creamy, very white, very simple, and it goes really well with the wreath that's also on the wall. It's just such a nice natural pairing. Of course, you can style this in so many different areas. If you have open shelving, you could style a few together there, pair it with a frame, a piece of art. Maybe you have like a snow globe or a Christmas village. There's just so many different things you could pair it with. You could put it on a console. You could use it in any room of your home, bathroom, kitchen, living room, bedroom, just so many different options for this versatile, very textural, high-end looking piece. And the medium one is only $15. So I feel like that's actually a really good deal for something that looks so high-end. So this next piece I was a little surprised by. Like I said, a Threshold usually has more modern pieces, but this one is a little bit more rustic. So I personally really love this. This is the 11 by 13.86 inch Christmas tree framed wall art. The first thing that caught my eye was the shape of the frame. You do not see this shape very often. I love how it's more of a modern shape, but it's mixed with a sort of patina, old looking brass material. I feel like that juxtaposition is definitely something that I tend to gravitate towards. The painting itself is also just beautiful. I love the muted tones. It's sort of like a watercolor looking piece. Lots of different variations of the green, lots of texture. I love the subtle ornaments, how they're sort of a golden color to match the frame. And I also love how the background isn't stark white. I like how there's a little bit of dimension in it, a little bit of variation. So if you have any area in your home where maybe the wall is white or the console is white or even black, this would be a really good piece to put on there to bring in that warmth and add a lot of contrast. I love the way they have it styled in the photos on a mantle, layered with another art piece. I personally love layering art pieces, especially when they both have a brass frame and the contents inside are a little bit different. It really adds a lot of dimension, a lot of variation, and I personally love how one is hung on the wall and then one is just leaning up against the wall. It just adds a little bit more character, and all of this layered with the candlesticks and the garland and the stockings is just absolutely beautiful. But like I said, this could go anywhere. You could put it in a built-in, you could lean it up against the wall, or a lot of people have been incorporating art pieces in their built-ins by actually hanging them up. It adds a lot of variation and it just makes your home feel very custom, very thought out and personal. You could also hang this in any sort of room. I've also seen a lot of people use sort of like mini easels, I think is what they're called, kind of like what painters use, but more of like an elevated look. Specifically on like a black one, it would look really pretty, and that would be really fun to incorporate into like a console or even shelf styling. Personally, I love this piece. $20 is a really good price for something like this that you can use for Christmases for years to come. I also love pieces like this because as an artist, I like to get ideas for pieces to make. I feel like someday I could make something very similar to this. So I just love to look at the different art that they come out with every season to get inspired, if nothing else. But if I had to buy this for $20, I feel like that's definitely a really doable, reasonable price. Next up on the list are some ornaments, and I'm sort of sticking with the trend from last year on the velvet ornaments. I personally really love those still. I love the very classic vintage sort of feel that it gives, and specifically for this piece, it's mixed in with more of a modern shape. So this is the set. It is a set of 11 ornaments. What I found was sort of like a multicolored set. I'm not sure if they sell all the colors individually. The texture on these is just absolutely stunning. I love the ribbed texture all the way around. The burgundy is also just beautiful. You guys know that I am very picky with my burgundies. I don't like them to be too saturated or too purple, sort of leaning maroon. This is absolutely perfect. There's a good amount of warmth to them. You can still tell that it's red. It's not a brown sort of color. And just paired with all the other different tones like the taupe and the cream and the greens, I feel like it is absolutely stunning. So this is the photo that they have shared online on the actual Christmas tree. Very simple. I love how they paired it with a nice warm wood bead garland. And even though the colors are simple, it just adds a lot of visual texture to the tree. Something else I also love about these ornaments is the brass detail on the actual like ornament hanger part. I don't know what you would call that, but I love a brass finish, and just that little attention to detail is definitely something that I would do. This set of ornaments is $35. It's a little bit more on the expensive side, I would say. If we did the math, it's about $3 per ornament, which isn't cheap. It's not expensive either. I feel like it's sort of in the middle, so I mean, do with it what you will. But of course, something to keep in mind is that these are the very classic Christmas colors. If you're one of those people like myself that you don't foresee ever getting rid of red or green in your Christmas decor, this would be a really good investment to use for years and years to come. And if you wanted some additional ideas on how to style these, you could use these as bowl filler. Personally, I don't like to use very shiny ornaments in my bowl filler. These are definitely an exception because they're very classy and very expensive looking. You could put them in a dough bowl or some sort of big cream bowl. I've seen people use like little cloches that sort of have like the wood bottom and then like a glass top. Those would be really fun too, sort of incorporate all of the colors of Christmas into one little area. Love these ornaments if you're looking for something that's a little bit different than just the normal smooth velvet ornaments that have been popular recently. I feel like you're really gonna love these. And lastly, but most certainly not least, is this stoneware oval serving platter. Again, she's really surprised me with how much she's stepped into that more vintage feel. Maybe she likes a little bit more of a mix, but she definitely does have her modern moments. This is absolutely stunning. I love the very classic combination of the cream and the red. Again, a very nice burgundy, and I just love all the little details. It looks like there's maybe like a horse-drawn sleigh of some sort in the middle there with a horse, a few trees, and then around the plate there's a lot of details like leaves and poinsettias and just so many different beautiful elements. This is one of those pieces where it looks like that you sourced this from a really fancy antique store, or maybe you found it at a flea market. It just feels like one of those very unique pieces that you wouldn't find at Target, which I personally really love. Another thing I really loved about this is that it is a practical piece of decor. It's beautiful and of course can be used as decor, but it's also a platter. You can serve food on it if you like to host during the holidays. It's also a really good size. It's about 13 inches by about 16.5 inches. And I love the photo that they showcase this being used in. I love how it's sort of incorporated as part of the tablescape. I love hostessware that can really add to the overall vibe of your table setting and really goes with it, enhances it. And when you're not using this platter, you could display it in your kitchen. If you have a hutch or a china cabinet, this would be really pretty to prop up and of course pair Christmas trees and just all your other Christmas decor with. If you have open shelving in your kitchen, you could put it up there with a bunch of other Christmas essentials for baking for the season. And this is sort of like those berry stems where if you need a little pop of red somewhere in your kitchen or dining space, this would be a really good piece to sort of sprinkle in. And this is only $25. It's actually a really good price for something that is ceramic and is really good quality. She also has some matching sort of dinner plates that have little Christmas trees in the middle. I would encourage you to go check those out because those are really cute as well. So if you really like to host for the holidays specifically, this line of very vintage inspired dinnerware would be such a wonderful thing to check out and add a very unique vintage feel to your space. All right, you guys, that about wraps up today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed my top 10 favorite pieces that Target came out with for Christmas this year. So many beautiful pieces, so many different ways to incorporate them into your home for a very simple, chic, classic Christmas look. So I hope that you guys found a lot of inspiration in today's video as well. Everything is going to be linked in the description box down below. Again, things are going to fluctuate in terms of whether they are available or not, so make sure you watch that if you are interested in any of these. And another quick reminder that we're going to start decorating for Christmas next week, so you definitely want to stay tuned for that. So many fun things are still coming this year, and I'm just excited to celebrate with you guys. So thank you guys so much for spending some time with me on my channel today. I hope you're having a wonderful holiday season so far, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, you guys.